What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and this is my beginner's guide for Ni no Kuni 2. So I wanted to do something like this for the game. It's a game that I think that a lot of people would actually really like if they saw it and if they actually played it. So I wanted to kind of go through just the basics, just if you're really just brand new to this franchise, as I am. If you're brand new to the franchise and you're just getting into the game, what are you going to be looking for? What should you be expecting from this game? A really nice game. Now, we're not going to go too in-depth in any one particular thing. We're kind of just going to glaze over everything. On Monday, I'm going to be having a tips and tricks for the game, though. So if you want, more detailed stuff, come back for that. We'll also have a review as the week goes on. So Ni no Kuni 2 actually isn't that scary at all. I know when I originally went into it, I was wondering, how much stuff is really going to be in this game. Is it going to bombard you with stuff? The first thing I guess you should know about this game is that it helps you out quite a lot. I mean, it explains everything. There is quite a few reading screens. You're going to have to do a lot of reading when it explains its abilities to you. Sometimes there's like pages of like 9. So they do get up there, but for the most part, the game takes it slow and allows you to get used to it and builds new things on top of each other for the most part. Some of the things you're going to want to do right off the bat, though, is really get used to exploring. I mean, the game is an open world-ish game where you are really going to want to just go all over the place, break everything humanly possible, and collect as much as you possibly can. That's a big part of this game, is getting as many resources as you can, especially early, because as you get through this game, especially once you start to develop your own kingdom, you're going to need a lot of money, a lot of resources. So it's good to build up very early, and you will be wondering, like, wow, there's a lot of things that these enemies are dropping. Pick up everything. Just pick up everything. Some things for no other reason than just to sell them to vendors. A lot of things in this game, not everything, but a lot of things in this game are completely worthless in terms of what they can do for you, but you can sell them and make money off of them. So you're going to want to do that very often. Collect everything possible. Take the paths that lead to nowhere, because those ones oftentimes have chests, and the bigger the chest, the better the item. They're going to be giving you, chests will give you weapons, they will give you items, they'll give you all sorts of things. Make sure you're constantly keeping in mind your character, not just your character, but your party's character. The game, again, builds very slowly a party for you, and you can play as whatever party member you want. You can lead them into battle, whichever character you want. One thing to note is that all characters share points when you're fighting. You're all going to get XP points, but it goes mainly based on the more enemies you kill. So the character you're playing as is going to most likely earn more XP than the next person, and that's because you're most likely going to be doing more to the enemies than your teammates. So another thing you'll notice when you get into the game, especially when it opens up into the open world and things start to get a little bit more wacky with the design choices and stuff, when you have to walk into battles or enemies can come at you and then it kind of sucks you into the game world, you're going to want to be careful of who you play as, and you're going to want to make sure every person in your party stays relatively close to the same level. There are certain sections of the open world, even that you'll see right away, where there's enemies that are just too high for you. And it's the classic open world kind of game with that. They're in red. Their level is in red, so these guys mean business. But you want to obviously stay away from them. And again, you want to make sure all your people, everybody in your party, you want to keep around the same level. And that kind of goes with equipping stuff. I like to normally, just because I'm a little bit lazy, I like to just over-equip one character and leave everybody else pretty weak. You don't necessarily want to do that. You do want to spread things out. You want to buy stuff for everybody. You want to make sure everybody has quite a bit of stuff. You don't want to, put the worst weapons with one person and have the best with the other, because everybody is going to have unique abilities. That's another thing in this game, is every person is unique in their own way. They have special powers. They maybe have different weapons. You'll learn early on that one person can do magic and maybe the other one can't. So like Roland can shoot with a pistol, but he can't do magic. So it all depends. And you're going to want to keep all these characters relatively the same level so you can maximize your fighting potential when you're actually taking part of a huge battle. The only other thing I'll mention briefly is just being aware that the game does build and does get bigger. I'm not going to go into kind of like the city building, your kingdom building, building. I don't want to go into that yet. I want to talk about that in the tips and tricks, but know that comes in around chapter 3.5 really. It takes around 8 hours to even get to that point in the game, and that's a whole lot of other stuff. That's, you have to manage buildings, you have to manage the income, you have to manage who you have to put in certain positions in these workshops and buildings and all that stuff. So there is quite a bit that goes into that. That is a big part of the game. And then there's kind of like the battles that you have control over, and the battle schemes do change up when you start to unlock the kingdom. So it does change around chapter 3. But other than that, just know going into this game, it's a story-driven game. You're going to be reading a lot. I think that's obvious. It goes back and forth between cutscenes and actual narrative that you do have to read. There's going to be a lot of loading screens that go in and out of fights, and just be ready for all that stuff. You know, it's a lot of classic JRPG stuff. A lot of times the characters don't actually speak, you know, the words. But overall, so far, I'm having a ton of fun. And again, I kind of want to just make this to say the game is not scary. You know, going into this game, you should not be worried about this game. You should not be scared about it. Definitely give it a try. It's super, super good so far that I've played it. I'm absolutely in love with it. It looks beautiful. Everything about it's really, really good. And it's definitely user-friendly. I mean, there is a lot there, but like I said, there's a lot of text boxes, a lot of information the game gives you. You just have to be patient, read it over, really try and understand it, and practice it. There's a weapon switch system that you can kind of customize where the game will switch the weapons for you. I had it accidentally put to that, and I honestly actually didn't like it. I put it so that I control what weapons I switch to manually, and I do think maybe that's slightly harder, but I like the control to be more in my hands. So there is quite a bit to the game. There's a lot of mechanics to the game, but as long as you read the stuff that the game is giving you, and as long as you kind of practice it, and the game does give you kind of sections to practice it. Another last thing, get into as many fights as humanly possible early in the game. That way you just understand the fighting mechanics. The fighting mechanics are actually pretty easy, but just so you get used to dodging, just so you get used to using your specials, so you get used to switching your weapons and your party, just get into as many fights as possible. You're not going to die. You're not even going to get hit most of the time, but it's going to get you used to how you fight in this game. Okay, so that is my beginner's guide for Ni no Kuni 2. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a tips and tricks on Monday. We're going to be talking about like actual tips and tricks, a little bit deeper systems in the game, where we're going to be talking about how you can kind of exploit some of those. And a review is also coming. I am planning on live streaming this game quite a bit over the next week. Also, we're doing a giveaway of this game, and we're also doing a giveaway of Sea of Thieves currently. So make sure if you want any of those two games, you check out our channel, enter the giveaway video, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. So thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for future Ni no Kuni 2 content, and I will see you guys very soon.